Hello and welcome to another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop. This time round I'm going to California, I'm going to the US. I've been contacted by a family called the Zampolli family. The daughters have inherited the whole car making project of Claudio Zampolli, who sadly passed away some time ago, and the daughters have inherited everything and they don't know what to do with it. And Claudio Zampolli started his working life working on these Lamborghini Miuras. In fact, he was Lamborghini's man on the ground in the whole of the US. For a number of years he was their technical guy, so if you needed a Miura servicing or anything doing, he was the man to do it. And he got bored with working on V12, these small V12 Lamborghinis, so he decided to do something very special in the late 80s, and he got together with Giorgio Moroder, a music producer of fame, and the two of them started to think about a very special car using a unique V16 engine mounted across the car, and they actually succeeded. Unlike a lot of these projects, this one went the whole course, and the car became the Cizeta CZ in Italian, Claudio Zampolli Moroder V16. They have made just a handful of cars. One of them was bought by the Sultan of Brunei, and Giorgio Moroder had one himself, a white one. All this is in the public domain, but the family have contacted me from California and said, can you please come and help us sort this out? It's a vastly interesting project, this. I mean, the world is a very small place, and I'm not interested in getting involved in politics or anything like that, but I am going to see if I can help these people. It's an honor to be invited on such an exciting and interesting project. So I'm going there, and we'll see what turns up, what I'm actually faced with when I get there. So Los Angeles, here I come. Unfortunately, the shooting in California was not up to our usual standard. We had problems with focus and sound, but hopefully the content is enough to offset that. So please just bear with us and look past that, and hopefully you'll enjoy the video as much as our homespun ones. Well, this is it. This is the place. This is the garage unit. I've travelled all this way. We've had some dialogue beforehand with the Zampolli family and Bob, who's looking after things, and myself. So here we go. This is it. Can't believe it. No idea what I'm going to expect here. Let's have a look. Hello. Hi, Iain.
Senia.
Hello.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Okay.
Hi,
Great to meet you.
Likewise.
And thank you for inviting me over all this way. But...
Yeah, it's our pleasure. It's such an honor to have you here.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, I was a great fan of your dad's work. I think I mentioned to you on the phone, I spoke to him 2 weeks before he passed away.
Yeah, that's fortunate.
That was the last time we spoke. Of course, nobody knew what was going to happen. So here we are. So to actually fly over here and be here, and I gather you've done some tidying up since he passed away. You know?
Yeah, we had to. We moved everything around, but it did look like an artist studio. Someone who's so passionate. Over here in the corner, you could see where he had all his tooling, where he made his tools and everything. He had so many projects going on in this.
Yeah, the metal shavings from
All his tools laid
making
out.
parts.
Right.
Like a surgeon, and all his tools were all laid out.
Yeah, we did a lot of cleanup. We took inventory of everything,
Right.
packed things, sold things, organized.
It's a lot of work.
Yep.
So I'm going to have a look round them with Bob, who's been helping you with this. But there's obviously various cars in various stages of assembly, right down to your dad's own car, which is a working. Well, it's having some engine management rework done.
Electrical.
Yeah, electrical rework, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Using new technology, but essentially that's your dad's. That was your dad's car, and then we got others here. I can see a frame hanging up in the
You can
corner.
see it in all stages.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
And this is the first time I think you've seen a Cizeta, or have you?
It is. I have never seen one before.
Live.
Not that I can remember. No.
Right.
No. I mean, they made in total. I think it was 11. Is that right? I think it was 11.
11, and then I think 12 was that.
Well, yeah, 11, then there's 4, there could be total 15.
Right.
Bob can give you that answer.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there are 11 total made, and then extra 4.
Okay.
5.
All right.
5.
Right. I'll have a look around, and we'll see where we go.
Great. I'm
Okay.
excited for this.
Oh, me too. Bob,
Hi, Ian.
pleased to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you, sir.
Oh, thank you very much for looking after me here.
It's our honor to have you here, sir. It's
We've
great.
got obviously the Zampolli family. We've just met the sisters, or some of the family, and you're looking after the sharp end.
Yeah, Claudio made me the executor to his estate.
And how long have you known him actually?
I went to work for Claudio when I got out of the military in 1975.
Wow. Wow.
It's a long time.
So pre-Cizeta, when he was working with Lamborghinis then, the Muras, and it would be Muras and at that time.
He had a repair shop in Van Nuys, California, and I became a mechanic there working for him.
And here we are with this huge
Ugh,
thing.
it's overwhelming. It's a big job.
Well, funnily enough, either Zenia or Elizabeth used that exact word before, and it does sort of cover it, you know. I don't know where to start really, but we've got to start somewhere, and we've got to have a plan. If anybody out there wants to start something, we'd be only too happy to hear from you. Just to say, if there's
Exactly.
an eccentric billionaire with an itch to scratch, this is the place to do it.
This
right?
is the place to do it.
So, so obviously you went through the whole process. Even Claudio's tragic passing away. We're going to have a look at the engine in this. And this is Claudio's car here in the
It's
background.
his personal car, yes.
And this is essentially a running car, but you're doing something with the engine management system, aren't you?
Yes, the old system failed, and we had to get a new system because the old system was not available, and it required a new harness. And I got an engine in Detroit on a dyno to map the engine to the computer and then bring it all back and put
Right.
it together.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem that people are increasingly facing because, of course, these don't have carburetors anymore. You just fit a fuel supply, a throttle linkage, tune them, and away you go. This was sort of 1980s. Hardly any cars had carburetors anymore. It was all engine management systems, where the ignition and the fueling curve was integrated into one unit, and you know, obviously what happens is the integrated circuits go down in the ECUs and the electronic control units, the brain of the engine management. And here we are, what is it, 30 plus years later.
Exactly.
You're having to start again and make the engine management system a 21st century thing. And that's okay, because obviously technology's moved on. But they're probably using a combination of components. I'm thinking, you know, different sensors. They can remap, of course, these days very easily. And I get that they're having that done. Is that right?
We're having that done, and Claudio actually arranged for that before he passed away. So I just took it and kept it going.
Yeah. And this car is going to have the benefit of that.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Well, we can. We've got to get that cover up and start having.
Oh, I'm so looking forward to hearing that engine roar to life again.
Oh,
It has such a unique sound.
Right. And you reckon it's going to be 2 or 3 months, something like that?
Something like that, yes. I've been in contact with the company this week, and they're working out some technical issues before we try to start it. And then I will fly back and witness the testing.
Fantastic. Okay, let's have a look. Let's pop the hood.
Sounds good. Let's do it. Shall we open it?
Yeah. Oh. Well, looky here, as Clint Eastwood would say, with a rather more American accent than that, I suspect. This is not a Josie Wales, this is an extremely large engine. Look at that.
It's about 7 feet wide at the back end here.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Wow, I mean, I think a Testarossa, which was one of the widest cars of the 1980s, was just over 6 feet.
This is 7.
I mean, we've got a lot of, okay, the engine's enormous, but we've got a lot of space here. This is is this the air conditioning condenser?
The condenser and a radiator sits in front of that.
Right.
And you got the crank pulley and the air conditioning compressor sits here. The intake manifold for the fuel injection system.
Yeah, these are the ports here.
Yep, they're all covered up.
Yeah. And then it comes, you've got a spur drive in the middle.
Yep.
And this is, I'm guessing, the clutch area here.
Yep.
And this looks like it's sort of based on a racing car gearbox. Yeah, so the power obviously comes through the gearbox here, rather like a Hewlett racing car gearbox. And then you got this mother and father of all exhaust systems.
Oh boy, what a complex system. Claudio and I put this engine in the car, and it took us 3 days to put the exhaust system together.
I'm not surprised.
Yep.
Because I mean, it's a bit like, I can see where Claudio got some of his inspiration from Lamborghini Miuras, because it's like a sort of Miura engine on steroids.
Yes.
You've got exhaust manifolds tucked under here for this forward bank, for these 2 banks of 4 cylinders here.
Yep.
And then that goes around the engine, I'm guessing?
Yes, it does.
There?
Yes.
Yeah. Obviously, this engine generates a serious amount of heat. So you've got this. Wow, that's solid. That's not just a heat shield. That's like a whole other.
It's for California smog emissions control.
Okay, got you. And these huge silencers at the back here. Oh, well, they're cats, are they? Or they're...
Yep.
Wow. I would love to hear this.
You and me both. I've heard it before. It's an astonishing sound. It's just music to my ears.
Yeah.
I've also invited my good friend and celebrated Lamborghini historian and archivist Olivier Namesh to join me here in California to help with this project. Olivier actually knew Claudio Zampolli, and I'm sure with his contacts we can get some more traction with this.
And it's amazing that you were on this journey with him all the way through, really, you know, or part of it. You know, obviously you weren't with him every day, but this is a sort of tribute to him, really.
I got to spend the better part of 5 years on the weekends working with him. Yeah, it's one thing to work for someone and be assigned a job and go do it. And it's a whole nother to work alongside the person and see how their brain functions and the way they think and how the creation comes out of his mind. It's just, it was pure joy.
I mean, having worked on so many exotic cars, this for me is,
I'm like a pig in mud here, really. Really, this is amazing. It really is. But obviously, this car would have to be used sort of as a template if any of the others were going to be completed. We hope that there's an inventory of parts here to be able to handle that, really.
We do have a significant inventory, and yes, this will be a template for someone if they want to continue building the car. This would be the perfect example to work from.
But it's a complicated, this must have been one of the most complicated cars of its era, I would think.
I can see him in my mind's eye doing this work, all this engineering and creativity thing, and I know he was the happiest he's ever been in his life doing it. Just,
Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Wow, what an achievement.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'd like to start looking at the oily bits, if that's okay.
Sure.
I can sneakily see an engine on a stand over
Uh-huh.
there. Maybe it's time we started getting into the nitty gritty.
Yeah, let's get into the nitty gritty. That'll be good.
Excellent, fantastic. Well. It's not often I'm lost for words, but I am now. This is incredible. So I'm just looking here. Get the dreaded glasses on. This is obviously joined here. You've got these studs. This is, oh, I see. This is so these are the main bearing caps, the main bearing studs here.
Yes.
And then it's joined, but I can't actually see a join in there.
I couldn't either, and I honestly don't know how it goes together. I've never been privileged enough to witness that assembly.
That's because obviously here it's in two halves. You can see that.
Right.
But it just seems to end there. That's mind bending. Okay, so I'm already flabbergasted. My flabber is well and truly gasted, and we haven't even got beyond looking at the bare block casting yet. Is it possible to take this off?
Yeah, just you grab that side.
There we go.
I'll take the cover over here.
Look at that. So this is a main bearing carrier then, this whole
Correct.
assembly. And
For the crankshaft, that's correct.
yeah, it's huge. And then they obviously this the Siamese in the middle here.
Yep.
And this is the PTO, the power takeoff here.
Yep.
Wow. It's also beefy. I mean, of course it is, but you know, it's huge. But I mean, that's the crankshaft, and that is going nowhere.
Well, to crank it to spin at 9,000, 9,500 RPM, it's got to be pretty stout.
Is that what speed it
Yes.
spins to?
Yes, sir. That's a lot of spins.
There's a lot going in there.
Yeah.
9,500 RPM.
Yes, sir.
Wow. I mean, it's obviously the deck of the block is very shallow, so it's obviously extremely short stroke.
Yes.
But hopefully, you know, with 16 cylinders, it's going to have enough torque to be able to pick up at low revs as well. But what a piece of machinery!
Would you like to flip it over?
Most certainly, yeah.
Let's see if we can do that.
So we're now coming to the way it sits in the car. So this is the right way up we're seeing now. Look at that. So it's what are called wet liners.
Yep.
They're surrounded by coolant with a top hat edge that sits in the top. It's 6 litres, this engine, something like that?
I think it's 7, closer to 7.
Is it?
Yes.
And by my arithmetic, I think it's 64 valves.
That's correct. 4 valves per cylinder, 16 cylinders.
That's a lot. Please tell me they were hydraulic tappets. You didn't have to shim all these things individually. No, it must be, because in the late 80s, early 90s, the technology wasn't there to have hydraulic tappets that operated at extremely high RPM. Now I think of it, the first very high performance car to have hydraulic tappets, unless I'm very much mistaken, was the Ferrari 355 in 1995. And that did 8,500, 9,000 revs, but it also had tiny hydraulic lifters to take up the valve lash. But this engine was before that, so you've got to set up 64 valve clearances.
Yes, sir. Talk about a valve adjustment job. That's a monster.
This is insane.
Well, everybody always said he was the crazy Italian designer.
So this is the timing chain here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got a chain for each bank, presumably. Yeah. Wow, this is a monster engine. I've got it. I don't know whether, I haven't looked, but I don't know whether there's anything on YouTube about anybody had recorded one of these engines or anything like that, but I'm going to have a look. The noise this thing makes. I'm intrigued to know something else. So is it, I'm assuming it's not one long crankshaft, it's sort of,
It's a split crankshaft.
it has a meeting in the middle.
Yes.
Because obviously you get huge torsional vibrations. I mean, going back to the 1930s and 40s, the US had a lot of straight 8 engines at that time.
Oh, yes.
And the reason that was a sort of blind alley was because of crankshaft torsional whip and torsional vibrations. So he obviously realised that it was better to keep it down to 2, on an engine of this size, 2 Siamese crankshafts some way.
Yep.
I'd love, have you got a crankshaft here that we could have a look at?
We do. I have a pair, I think, that goes to this engine in particular.
Really? I'd be very interested to have a look at the...
We can do that, no problem.
Wow, this is a treasure trove. What a piece of machinery.
It's a piece of automotive history. Never been done before in this configuration in a 16-cylinder motor. And Claudio, I got to know him really well. He was in hog heaven when he was working on this. He loved every split second of it. And I got to enjoy, I feel so privileged to have enjoyed some really close, special time with him.
Yeah.
He's a very unique man and a very kind, gentle man.
Well, I mean, it's one thing to have this in your mind's eye, you know, it's all going on in here, but to actually translate it into a car that works, that is a phenomenal achievement. And it was Marcello Gandini that designed the body for this. Did you know this was going to be the Lamborghini Diablo? And then Lamborghini said, we don't want that design. Then Chrysler took over Lamborghini and they came up with a new design, but this was going to be the Countach successor.
That's correct, and this came out before the Diablo.
Yes.
Yeah. So everybody says, well, that looks like the Diablo, and I said, well, this came first.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly, but I think Lamborghini, under Chrysler, they gave it to Chrysler stylists, and they reworked this design and made it the Diablo, which came out in '91, I think. And this, I think from memory, was '88 it was launched?
88 is when he debuted the car in Century City, and then he went to Geneva, Switzerland, and debuted the car there.
It's just typical of Italian exotic cars. There's so many personalities, but very few involved in the situation. The wonderful Marcello Gandini designed it. You know, who designed the Miura and the Countach and all sorts of other cars. It's such a small world in that way.
Well, Claudio was a very unique individual. He had both sides of his brain operating in unison. He could imagine, design, and then build and make it run, all out of one head. And that most people can't do that. You know, the creative artists have one side only that works and don't have the practicality of the other side to work with it to make something come to fruition.
Exactly.
But he did. He had all of it going.
I think we need to get that crankshaft.
Well, let's go take a look.
Wonderful. Well, you've been digging around. You know where everything is, which is impressive.
I know where most stuff is.
Well, I mean, crankshafts aren't that easy to miss.
Yeah, that's correct.
So let's have a look. Let's have a look. Oh, look at this. Oh.
You want to grab one end, I'll grab the other.
Oh, now. So this is a single plane crankshaft. So that's the way he's designed it. So American V8s traditionally were twin plane.
Right.
So, I mean, these are your main bearings here.
Yes.
And then your big ends here, journals. And these two are 180 degrees apart from each other. And that is the same as that. and that one lines up with that. So these are 180 degrees apart as well. So this is, if you will, like a giant 4-cylinder engine crankshaft.
Yes,
That's the way they're designed. Architecturally, it's
like 4.
It's
yeah.
like 4, but traditional American V8s. More and more car manufacturers are going onto this now, single plane. But traditionally, they would have one there, one 90 degrees there, and one under here somewhere. So
Correct.
they're all staggered. Yeah.
Yes.
And this was sort of racing car technology. In the 1960s, Coventry Climax started with this single plane crank. The Cosworth DFV, a phenomenally successful Formula One engine, it had a single plane crank. And then Enzo Ferrari brought one out in the 308 GT4 Ferrari of 1975. I'm intrigued because the way this is designed, because of the firing pulses and the acoustics, it develops more power at higher RPM. It's not about torque like an American V8. Yeah, so he's obviously taken that in mind. I'm just getting inside his head a little bit, really. Very, very clever. So this thing must scream. It must be like a giant bike engine almost. You know, motorbike engine or something.
Well, everything about this car was highly engineered down to the littlest detail. He left nothing unengineered, nothing for granted. Everything was thought through completely before he did it.
Yeah. And this is another one.
Yes, that's the mating
Ah, there we go.
crank that goes with it.
180 degree crankshaft. There you go.
Yep.
With 180 degree throws. So this is the counterpart.
Yes. We can take this one out.
Okay. So these two are sort of identical then. You put that way. They're effectively the same, and it looks like, again, to keep them autonomous from vibration point of view, so you don't get whip and vibration from
Right.
an enormously long crank. These would, in the engine, these would meet up. So that end would meet up with this.
Correct. And be joined together in here
Yes.
by gearing.
Yeah, a huge gear.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
Quite a design.
It is, isn't it? And these are forged crankshafts as well, which is, of course, you know, one of the best ways of making a crankshaft. Oh, this is beautiful. This is like Iain 40B or something, chrome molybdenum steel. Ah, yes, and it's all balanced.
Yep.
Hence the drillings.
Yep.
Wow. Just blows me away, this. It really does. Blows me away. Mm.
It's very easy to get overwhelmed with this car. There is so much about it that's so unique.
It's just, yeah, it's quite a daunting. We get back to that word.
That word.
The O word.
Overwhelming.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure there's some other bits we can have a look at. I'd be interested to see. Do you know if there's any of these gearings around? Or?
I think there is, and I think we could probably find them pretty quickly. We can take a look here in a minute.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Frames up there, and then this stuff is just.
Well, we found some gears. I thought I'd let you take a look
Thank
at
you
it,
very
see
much.
what you think.
Just what I always wanted. Have a look. So this could be a key part of this.
Absolutely it is.
Look at that. So that obviously is the drive, which comes through here. And then these, that goes on the end of there like that. I'm not going to try and put it on just now. And then that goes onto the end of that. And this is basically so that you don't end up with a great big vibrational nightmare.
Exactly right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because there is some damping effect by having that in the middle. I mean, that's a heavy bit.
Oh yeah, that's a heavy piece of metal. Well, a couple of pieces are bolted together. Yes.
Yeah. So this is the sort of linchpin to the thing. Oh, how beautiful! What a privilege to come and see this. And it would be an absolute tragedy if nobody picks this up. And
Oh, I think so. I think the creativeness of Claudio with this car and the engine, just over the top wonderful. It's a piece of history, automotive history for sure.
yeah, we have to do something with this. We have to keep it going. You know, it's not an impossible task. It's daunting, but it's not impossible.
Correct.
So yeah, I'm going to thank you and the girls for letting me see if we can make something of this. Thank you very much indeed.
Ian, we thank you for coming all this way and helping us with this daunting task of trying to find someone that wants to keep it going.
Yeah.
We're very excited about you being here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, fortunately, a few people in my circle of friends and acquaintances just might have an appetite for something like
Well,
this.
we would be delighted if someone stepped forward.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to thank the girls as well, but
Thank you, sir.
very much.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
What can I say? It's just a fantastic privilege and an honour to be here and see this. And I think people like Mr. Zampolli and people who've sort of pushed the boundaries and done something special and had the wherewithal to convert it from being in here to actually something you can touch and something that works, it has got to be celebrated as a fantastic achievement. So I feel as though I've made some new friends with the Zampolli family and with Bob, and we're going to see if we can get somebody to capture the vision and take the project on.
Well, that concludes another Tyrrell's Classic Workshop video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with something else very soon.